A best-of-5 series is an exercise in pressure, where a sense of urgency is unleashed in the very first game. For the Red Sox and A's, that pressure was just 13 hours ago. Game 1 was distinguished by heroic moments on baseball's greatest stage. A back-and-forth battle, tension building with every moment. This game would go to extra innings and then be settled in a most unlikely manner. For the Red Sox, there can be no hangover, or Oakland's party will continue full steam ahead. They were just here a few hours ago, but the Red Sox and the Athletics are getting ready to play ball again. It's game 2 of this American League Division Series as the Red Sox and Athletics, after going 4 hours plus last night, are doing it all over again. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan, and welcome to this exciting series. And what a game it was last night. A classic struggle between two top ball clubs, Joe. And you and I were in Atlanta last night, and there were the Braves facing a big ball game, a must-win. And now here are the Red Sox in the same kind of a situation, but after a brutal loss last night, going deep into the night and then losing anyway.
Well, I think it's tough for the Red Sox simply because they've got to stop this snowball from rolling down the mountain. That is the Oakland A's. We remember last year they got on a roll and won 20 games in a row last year, and they did it by making plays like they did last night. And if you're the Boston Red Sox, you have to say to yourself, we got here by hitting, we're going to have to hit to win this ball game. It doesn't matter that Barry ZITO is starting for Oakland. We've got to hit. We're a hitting ball club, and that's how we're going to win this thing.
All right, now for the Athletics, they have ZITO on the mound. He is tough to hit. He won the Cy Young Award in the American League last year, but Oakland also has an imperative to win today. They don't want to go to Boston tied at 1-1.
Well, that's exactly right. If you can split on the road and go home, everything's in your favor. But remember, this is not the Barry ZITO that was the Cy Young Award winner last year. He struggled at times, especially early in the ball game. So the key for Boston, again, is to get on top early. They're going to have to get something early in this ball game that will also take some of the pressure off themselves.
All right. Hey, and why don't you get some sleep sometime? All right. The A's and the Red Sox ready to play ball. Tim Wakefield, the knuckleballer, on the mound for Boston. I'll ask him to be the stopper. And Barry ZITO, the Cy Young winner last year, will go for Oakland, trying to give the Athletics a commanding lead. The crowd is gathering. The stage is set. Game 2 coming up momentarily. Gray skies overhead as the Red Sox and A's are getting ready to meet, and that could be good news if you're a hitter. We'll see if it stays that way, if the sun burns through. Here with us today is Dave Ryan. Dave?
All right, John, thanks so much. A long, emotional night, certainly, for the Red Sox in Game 1. It lasted 4 hours, 37 minutes. After the game, the team had to take their team bus across the Bay Bridge to San Francisco, where the hotel is. They didn't get back to the room until 1:15 in the morning last night, local time. Team bus left today, coming back across the bridge at 10 o'clock, although some guys say they did come a little bit earlier to take extra batting practice. Now, being around the players, NOMAR, GARCIAPARRA, Jason Varitek, Todd Walker, everyone seems very relaxed. The last thing they seem, and their manager Grady Little said it too, is tense. And they're a very tough team because, after all, their theme, guys, all year long, underneath their game shirt has been Cowboy Up. They'll have to be tough. And Cowboy Up, John, today in Game 2. Otherwise, they're in danger of falling down 0-2 to the A's.
All right, Cowboy Up. And there's Grady Little, who said that, hey, there's a sense of urgency for the Red Sox. Are you kidding? There's a sense of urgency. People in Boston start to panic if they lose a game in May. Here's the Red Sox batting order now, presented by Bristol Myers Squibb. It'll be Johnny Damon in center field. Nomar Garciaparra at shortstop. Todd Walker, what a night he had last night at second base. Manny Ramirez in left field. David Ortiz, the designated hitter. Kevin Millar at first base. Bill Miller, the batting champion in the league, third base. Gabe KAPLER in right field instead of Trot Nixon. And hitting ninth is Doug Mirabelli. On the mound is Barry ZITO for the Athletics, 14-12 this year after winning the Cy Young last year, but he actually had a pretty good ERA.
Well, he's still Barry ZITO. He just did not have all the luck, and he wasn't quite as consistent as he was last year. But the key for Barry is going to be whether his fastball is alive or not. He has a big overhand curveball and a changeup, but if he can't make them respect his fastball or have to look for the fastball, then his changeup and his curve is not going to be quite as effective.
The umpiring alignment Eric Cooper back at the plate. Wally Bell, Gary Darling, Tim Welke in the bases from first to third. Greg Gibson in left. And Randy Marsh in right. And a fastball in there for a called strike.
And that was a pretty good fastball. That'll get you respect.
So we are underway here at the Coliseum. Now the big curveball that misses. Zito's got a, when he's right, one of the best curveballs you'll see in the game. Only 60 degrees at game time here at the Coliseum and overcast. A little bit of a breeze blowing in off San Francisco Bay. He fouls that one off the catcher Hernandez. 1 ball and 2 strikes. It was 60 degrees here at game time last night. Other than the fact that it's a little bit overcast and last night it was dark, it could still be last night. Not much of a chance to get a whole lot of sleep in for these guys, as this one is starting a little bit after 1 o'clock Pacific time. Last night's game did not end until almost midnight locally. 2-2 the count. And Chavez gets him.
And let's look at the defense behind Barry Zito. We just saw Eric Chavez, who has won a Gold Glove the last couple of years, and he made a fantastic play last night to save the ball game. Hernandez, pretty good catcher. HATTEBERG at first has played very, very well since moving there. Tejada has really stepped up his defense this year. The outfield has some speed, but it's not a great throwing outfield except for Guillen in left field.
Yeah, most of their best arms are on the infield.
Right, exactly.
Tejada has got a great one, and Chavez at third. First ball swinging. GARCIAPARRA with a pop-up. Tejada doesn't need to throw on that one. Out number 2.
Well, last night, with you see the runner at third base, he would have scored, and they'd had a big rally going in the 12th inning, and then they come back after this great play to stuff this rally by the Red Sox. The A's won it in the bottom of the 12th. And you see the appreciation shown by his teammates.
Huge play, and obviously a huge play in that spot.
That's what Gold Glovers are supposed to do, John.
Grady Little also thought maybe a key play for the whole night occurred in the 3rd inning on a play made by Mark Ellis.
Yeah, he didn't get the runner out, but he knocked the ball down and kept it on the infield, kept the runner from scoring, and it loaded the bases, and they were able to get Manny Ramirez out without any runs scored.
Todd Walker, the hitter, and that's a strike on the inside. You know, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, we made a lot of the fact that, you know, the game ended late. The guys didn't get a lot of sleep. I think that that's a real plus for the Boston Red Sox, that they didn't have to spend the whole day thinking about that tough loss last night. You go to sleep, you wake up, hey, I'm back at the ballpark. That's where I want to be, instead of having to sit around thinking about it. I thought that was a disadvantage for the Yankees. They lost the first game at home and had to wait 2 days to redeem themselves. Here, you get right back at it, and that's the way you want to play this game.
Walker, who hit 2 homers here last night, hits a foul down the right field line. Walker ended up being replaced in the 9th inning for defensive reasons. And then, of course, the Athletics tied the game in the 9th. It went extra inning, and suddenly there was Walker's spot in the lineup, but it was Damian Jackson up instead. Curveball, he just got a piece of that one to stay alive. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Walker, though, made a wild throw in what looked like a double play in the 7th inning when Pedro's out there, and I thought that cost Pedro a good 20 pitches. Grady Little said, yeah, maybe it kept Pedro out of the 8th inning of that game, and probably certainly kept him out of a possible Game 4 start should they get that far.
Well, that was a tough decision that Grady had to make. You know, with a 1-run lead, you know, the game's not over, and you might go to extra innings. You do not want to take your bat out of the lineup, but by the same token, you want to put the best defense you can put out there to try to preserve that 1-run lead. So it's not an easy decision either way.
3-2 the count, and a foul off the 3rd base side. Walker got it started in the 1st inning against Hudson with this home run right down the line, and then later against Rincon, he hit a 2-run homer in the 7th with his club trailing 3-2. That put Boston ahead. A lead, however, that they were not able to hold. And another foul. So he's giving Zito a workout here. That was the 8th pitch of this at bat. By the way, last night was Todd Walker's first postseason game. So far, you got to say this guy's a money player, Joe. And back to the screen again. Walker during the regular season went through a horrible slump that seemed like it was never going to end, but started hitting again near the tail end of the year. Hit .283 overall, 13 homers, 85 runs batted in, and another foul. So this is starting to turn into an epic struggle between Walker and Zito. Of course, you know, 85 RBIs for the Red Sox this year. That wasn't that good.
Yeah, but I think the key that tells you how good he is they moved Nomar Garciaparra to second and moved him up to third to the RBI slot.
3-2 count. And a second. There is Ellis. And Zito, it took him 11 pitches, but he got him. The Red Sox go down in order. Now the knuckleballer. Wakefield will take them out. The Athletics are coming up.
ESPN2's presentation of the 2003 MLB Division Series, brought to you by Midas. Visit your local Midas mechanic today.
John Miller and Joe Morgan with you. Game 2 of this American League Division Series. The Red Sox and Athletics. The Red Sox have gone down in their half of the first. Oakland under manager Ken MACHA coming up now. And let's take a look at the Athletics batting order presented by Bristol Myers Squibb. Mark Ellis leads off at second. Then last night's hero, Rubiel Durazo, is the DH. Eric Chavez at third. Miguel Tejada hitting cleanup at short. Hatteberg at first. Guillen in left. Hernandez, who had the game-winning bunt, and what a shock that was. Jermaine Dye right. Eric Burns in center. And on the mound is Tim Wakefield, and he starts with a fastball to Mark Ellis for a strike. 11-7 overall this year. And he's not a hard thrower by any means, but he got a lot of strikeouts. When it's dancing, and that one danced, it can be sometimes almost impossible to hit. What was your approach against a knuckleball, Joe?
Well, I always felt that you move closer to the knuckleballer. I mean, move forward in the batter's box so you give the ball less time to dance. And I also felt that way against, well, too late for me to help Mark. Let's take a look at the defense. Miller, of course, won the batting title, and he's played very good at third base. Garciaparra, good shortstop. I mean, this is a pretty good defense. It's not a great defense, but they're not going to kill themselves all the time, but they will make some mistakes. But the key today is going to be Mirabelli and how he handles the knuckleball from Tim Wakefield.
Well, Mirabelli always catches Wakefield. That's why he's in there rather than Varitek. Rubiel Durazo, the former Arizona Diamondback, he got off to a great start the first few weeks this year with Oakland, then slumped most of the rest of the season until September, and they moved him into the number 2 spot in the order, and he finished up on a roll. And he continued it last night as he has a countdown, 1 ball, 1 strike. How about this? Last night he came to the plate 6 times, and he made Red Sox pitchers throw 35 pitches in those 6 at-bats.
Well, that was a slow curve knuckleball there. It looked more like a slow curve because it was just dropping from gravity.
2 balls and 1 strike.
That's a good one.
At the knees for a strike. 2-2.
Well, this one really dances. See how the ball was up around his elbows, and all of a sudden it drops down to his knees.
Hit hard, and it's a base hit for Durazo.
And that's one of the things with a knuckleball. We saw a great one the pitch before, and the next one is just kind of sits up there. And that's the problem. Now watch where this one is. That one just sits there. See, that's why knuckleball pitchers can't be as consistent as you would like. Durazo let go of his bat too. We saw the great one to pitch before, and then the next one was just so-so. Normally it's just the opposite. When you get 2 strikes, you throw the real hard one, try to get it to really dance.
Well, Durazo is now 3 for 5 in this series. And the batter is Eric Chavez, powerful Oakland third baseman, hit 29 homers with 101 RBIs during the season. With Tejada behind him, these were the 2 100 RBI men for the Athletics this year.
Tejada did not have the same type of year he had last year when he won the MVP, but he is still the guy that makes this offense go.
0-2. Now you talk about the movement on that knuckleball. Now Mirabelli is the guy who always catches him. So he's had the most success, you would imagine. And yet he led the majors with 14 pass balls. And he didn't play that often.
But catching a knuckleball is not easy by any means, because first of all, because there's not much rotation, one of the seams will catch maybe a little wind or whatever, and it'll move in that direction. You do not know where it's going to end up when the ball is about 4 feet in front of the plate.
2-2 now.
So you just have to stay loose and think of every pitch as being almost a wild pitch, so that you're ready to go after it. But the one thing I've heard, most guys that catch knuckleball say, you do not wait to let it come to you. You reach and get it.
2-2 the count. Durasso at first, and he strikes him out on a foul tip, held by Mirabelli. Well, the Red Sox will hope that history repeats itself. The last time that Wakefield pitched here in Oakland, August 14th, which was a Thursday afternoon. He pitched very well, got a lot of strikeouts, and the knuckleball was dancing. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 runs, 5 hits, and had 8 strikeouts in that one. Although he did walk 4. Here's Tejada. GARCIAPARRA underhands to Walker for the force out on Durasso, and the inning is over. 1 hit, 1 left. Manny Ramirez, then David Ortiz coming up for the Red Sox. No score. We are in Oakland. Barry ZITO back on the mound, and Manny Ramirez at the plate. And it was kind of a tough, lonely night for Manny last night. He's the RBI man, one of the great RBI men in the game, and he kept coming up with men on base last night, and he couldn't get any of them in. He couldn't get a hit last night. He was 0 for 5.
Well, that tells you better watch out today.
And down and in with that fastball. 2-0 to Manny Ramirez. David Ortiz on deck, then Kevin Millar. Now, Ken MACHA had said before the series that he thought one of the keys was to keep the Red Sox from getting a bunch of men on base in front of Ramirez. And that's foul down the left field line.
That's a pretty good idea, John.
Well, they couldn't keep men on base, keep the men off base in front of him, and yet it didn't matter. They kept getting them out.
Yeah.
But they may not try to test that new theory very often. Manny's liable to start knocking in a few of those guys. 3-1 the count. Barry ZITO. He actually left the ballpark early last night to get a good night's sleep, and he misses outside. It's a walk to Manny Ramirez to start off the 2nd inning. Ramirez is the first Red Sox base runner of the game. I asked Ken MACHA about that before the game, about ZITO leaving. He says, "Oh, did he leave early?" And he said, "Yeah, I was kind of worried about other things." And Grady Little said the same thing. He was asked if Wakefield left early. He says, "I have no idea." He says, "We had 25 guys, and I was more concerned about the other 24 that I might use in that game last night." Well, here's David Ortiz. Now, how about this guy? He was so good this year. Some people feel he should be considered for the MVP in the American League.
And I'm sure he will get a lot of, votes. You get the vote for 10 guys. I'm sure he will get quite a few votes.
Well, the longer the season went, the more home runs he started to hit. His average fell a little bit in the 2nd half, but the power went way up down the stretch. 31 homers, 101 batted in only 128 games played. He hit .216 versus left-handed pitching, though. The big curveball, and ZITO misses badly with it. Ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike.
I still remember the home run he hit in that magical game they had there the last week of the season, where Todd Walker hit a home run to tie, and then he hit the home run to win it into the new seats in left field over the green monster.
The monster seats.
Yeah, the monster seats. It was a monster mash.
Well, right after that curveball, he saw a fastball, and ZITO blew that one right by him.
Well, if he's going to have any success with ZITO, he's going to have to hit that pitch, because it was a 2-1 fastball. He should have been looking fastball, but he looked like he was a little flat-footed on it. So that's the pitch you have to hit if you're a left-hander against ZITO when he gets behind you.
Oh, strike 3 called on the outside corner at the knees.
Well, ZITO just lights it up a little bit more since he said he didn't handle the other one. I'm going to throw it again. See, when the count is 2-1, you're pretty much going to get a fastball, especially after you just walked the leadoff hitter. And this is a fastball. This is borderline knee high over the outside corner.
Barry ZITO, he was 23-5 last year and was named the Cy Young winner, emblematic of the top pitcher in the league. Kevin Millar, the hitter, and back to the bag is Manny Ramirez. This year, ZITO was 14-12. And yet, if you look at all of his numbers across the board, except the wins and losses, you'd figure he won a lot more than just the 14. 1 out, 1 on.
Ooh, beautiful. Straight change.
0-1 the count. Let's go to our colleague Dave Ryan.
Well, John and Joe, you're talking about the schedule last night for Barry ZITO. He left the Coliseum around the 4th inning to be home for a good night's sleep. The club always allows Barry to leave the ballpark early if he's starting a day game the next afternoon. Turned out to be a pretty good decision. He got home around 8:30, and the game, of course, 4 hours, 37 minutes, almost went to midnight local time. Meanwhile, Tim Wakefield left with all of his teammates after the game. He got back about 1:15, so a better rested Barry ZITO today for game 2.
It's general practice for all teams, not just Barry ZITO, but anybody on the A's to be able to go home if you're going to pitch a day game the next day. Wakefield had that option also.
Over to left center is Guillen, and that is out number 2. Manny Ramirez will go back to first base. 2 down. Millar retired. Now Bill Miller will come up. Miller, the batting champion in the American League last year, or this year. See, the regular season, I've already put that in the past, Joe. I mean, what happened in the regular season has no bearing on this. Old news. Bill Miller had quite a year, 326 average. Turned out he was the quintessential Fenway Park hitter. 19 homers, 85 runs batted in. Switch hitter, batting right-handed here. And ZITO with the big curveball too high. Miller came up originally with the San Francisco Giants, and he always hit around 290 to 300 with the Giants. Became an excellent third baseman.
You know, one thing I remember is Barry Bonds talking about him, and Barry really had a lot of respect for Bill Miller, not only as a hitter but as a player. You know, because he played hard, and Barry always said he was his kind of player.
A lot of room and foul ground in this ballpark. Chavez comes all the way over. Not quite enough room for Chavez that time as it hit the roof of the dugout.
You know, I find it interesting. This ballpark, you see a lot of foul balls that are caught in foul territory because there's so much, you know, room here. And I've always felt like it really hurt a lot of really good hitters in winning batting championships. Carney Lansford, of course, won one here in a half a season, but you know, the Giants were the same way. There was Candlestick Park, so much foul territory that it really took a lot of at-bats away from good hitters.
Now Miller didn't have that kind of trouble at Fenway Park.
No.
Very little foul room at Fenway.
Well, I mean, those parks, the new parks, are more conducive for high batting averages now because the foul balls are going to go into the seats, you know, because the seats are so close. And over the course of playing 81 games at home, you lose a lot of at-bats with the foul balls.
Miller lifts a fly ball into right center. Jermaine Dye. And that is the inning. A leadoff walk, but Ramirez never got past first base. Ramon Hernandez, who got the winning bunt hit last night, will be coming up third. Knuckleball in there for a strike to Scott Hatteberg, the 5th place hitter in the Oakland lineup. We get the panoramic look at the Oakland Coliseum, the Network Associates Coliseum. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Dave Ryan is here with us. Game 2 of this series. Red Sox need a win today. Now Kevin Millar takes that one himself, and Hatteberg is gone, 1 away. And here is Dave Ryan.
All right, John, thanks a lot. Red Sox fans may be wondering why manager Grady Little is going with Tim Wakefield in game 2 and not Derek Lowe, who may have been the better starter throughout the regular season. As you guys both mentioned, the Coliseum in Oakland is so spacious. There's so much foul ground, perhaps the most spacious ballpark in all the major leagues, and certainly more so than Fenway Park in Boston. During the regular season, Tim Wakefield induced hitters into 72 fly ball outs, fair and foul. Derek Lowe, only 12 throughout the regular season. And guys, if you're wondering about low status for Game 3, Grady Little says he's okay to go despite 42 pitches in Game 1 last night.
All right, and here is Guillen, and he takes high and tight for ball 1. Guillen did not hit as well with the Athletics as he did for Cincinnati, but nonetheless he had quite a year overall. 31 homers, 86 runs batted in, and a batting average of .311. He was 1 for 3 in Game 1. He's got that broken bone in his left hand, and it put him out for a little while. They were afraid that he might have to miss the postseason, but he got in there at the tail end of the regular season, even hit a home run in the final week, and he's in there. He's got that Sammy Sosa, Marquise Grissom kind of build up on the knob of his bat. That's supposed to help that hand a little bit.
Well, it will help. Yes, it'll keep you from rolling over it and hurting the hamate bone again. I thought that was some great information Dave gave, because you know why you would pick, you know, Wakefield over Low, because of the pop-ups, the foul balls, and this is a better park to have your pitcher, you know, the opposition hit fly balls in than Boston, you know. So that's pretty good. I've been honest with you, I never would have thought of it that way, but obviously Grady Little had looked at statistics and he sees who's the fly ball pitcher and he wanted him to pitch today.
Well, that's why Dave's here, Joe. We didn't just pick a guy because he's good looking. I mean, this guy, he's got credentials. He knows what he's talking about.
Okay.
Now Guillen gets the walk. That one flew right over his head. Wakefield got 15 outs, as you see that pitch. 15 outs on pop-ups in foul territory. Lowe only got 3 outs on pop-ups in foul territory.
Well, and this is, you know, a big difference. That makes a big difference again over the course of a ball game, or even more so over the course of a season or a series. You know, what Hernandez did last night was really kind of playoff baseball. Do anything you have to do to win the game.
And he takes a ball.
I don't know how many guys would have thought of doing that with the bases loaded last night, you know, in 2 outs.
And 2 outs.
Right. See, that's the thing. I mean, so, you know, maybe the A's are changing their approach. You know, that little ball yesterday, you know, instead of trying to hit the big fly or something with the bases loaded and have a grand tour around the ball, around the bases. He did the right thing. I mean, for him at that moment, you know, he saw that Bill Miller was back, dropped it down the third base line. They win the ball game. And that's the last thing you would expect from an Oakland hitter, probably.
Yeah. Well, Bill Miller, by the way, is not back right now.
Right. Well, that changes it.
And going to second is Guillen. Is that one off the glove of Mirabelli, and he may get charged with another pass ball.
But John, that's what I said at the beginning. I mean, knuckleball pitchers, if you stay close, they're going to make mistakes. And you know, you can blame this on the catcher, but I don't. Simply because, I mean, the ball was up and out of the strike zone and it moved away. I mean, it's tough for a catcher already to make the pitch. If that ball's down the strike zone, he probably catches it or at least blocks it in front of him. So, I mean, there's just not a lot of margin for error when you are a knuckleball pitcher and in a close ball game.
Hernandez pops a foul back out of play. Now, Ron Washington, the third base coach whom we saw a moment ago, has a sign which is like a suggestion. It's not a bunt sign, but it's a sign that says, hey, if you feel like doing it, circumstances are pretty good for a bunt right now. He says guys almost never end up bunting the ball when he gives that sign, but last night Hernandez did. One hop to the right fielder, and that will get a run home. Guillen is in to score, and the Athletics are ahead 1-0 as Hernandez last night did it with the bunt. This time he gets the base hit. Right now, whatever it takes, that's what Hernandez is doing.
Well, also, Guillen was running on the pitch, and that's another way of taking, you know, advantage of the knuckleball pitcher. Guillen was running, and Hernandez hits a line drive to right field, and Guillen scores easily. So the A's, maybe they're going to try to take advantage of the knuckleballer by stealing a few bases, putting some runners in motion. And that'll put more pressure on Mirabelli to catch the ball cleanly behind the plate.
So here is Jermaine Dye, and he got a hit. So that knuckleball has been real hard to control this inning for Wakefield.
Well, it just kind of sails in a little bit on Dye, and it probably just clipped his uniform.
The number 22, Eric Berg.
So now Hernandez at second. Dye at first. Guillen got aboard on a walk with the second of the pass ball. And then Hernandez got him home. Now a hit batsman. 2 on, 1 out, 1 in. And it's a little bit high to Eric Byrnes, the 9th place hitter. Oakland ahead 1-0. The sun has broken through the overcast, and a gray day has become a fabulous sun-filled day now. Mark Ellis on deck. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the panoramic view from high above the Coliseum. Been a lot of great baseball played in this yard over the years. Unfortunately, there's been some football played here recently too. That field is a little chewed up for baseball right now. 2 men on, 1 man out. That almost hit Byrnes, and Mirabelli's fortunate that that one didn't get past him.
Well, one of the problems you have with, if you're a knuckleball pitcher, when you get the ball inside, you may hit a lot of hitters because the hitter is trying to stay there. He's trying to keep from pulling off because he doesn't know where the ball's going. He's trying to stay there in case the ball moves away from him. And if he stays there too long, obviously he gets hit.
And a foul. It will go back out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Wakefield, by the way, hit 12 batters this year. He had 8 wild pitches, and his catcher, Mirabelli, had the 14 pass balls. All those figures aren't really that bad, considering how tough that pitch is to control.
Not the 14 pass balls. That's not that tough, that bad.
That one hit into left field. Ramirez way back there, still going back. It's over his head. He juggles the ball. Hernandez has scored. Dye waved home. He scores. A 2-run double for Eric Byrnes, and 3 runs have scored for the Athletics. And Manny Ramirez seemed to have some trouble with the sun going back on that one.
Well, it is definitely the sun field out there, you know, at this time of the day. But that's one of the knuckleballs that didn't do a lot. And when you have a high ball hitter up there and the ball doesn't do much, I mean, he's going to hammer it. And in comes Hernandez and Dye, and the A's have a 3-0 lead.
Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, out to the mound to talk with Jim Wakefield. 4 straight Athletics have reached base, starting with that walk to Guillen, then the pass ball, then the RBI single by Hernandez. Dye was hit by a pitch. Now Byrnes has hit a long 2-run double. I mean, when this inning started, it was still overcast. Now a bright sun is shining, and right into the eyes of Manny Ramirez out there in left field. Here is Mark Ellis, the leadoff man, and that's too low for ball 1.
Well, the way they had him positioned, John, he wasn't going to catch that anyway. I mean, that ball was hit to the corner, and he was playing rather shallow. I mean, that seems to be the way they want to play Eric Byrnes. I was noticing that last night. And Byrnes hit that pretty well.
And Manny could not handle the carom initially, and Jermaine Dye ended up scoring on the play all the way from first. And Dye, for all the injury problems he's had in the last couple of years, he ran pretty well on that one.
Well, he says he's close to being 100% healthy now, so that's important for the A's.
That one runs inside, almost hitting Ellis again. 2-1.
Like I say, if you get that ball inside, you're going to hit a lot of batters because they just can't. You can't bail out too quickly because you do not know what the pitch is going to do.
Mark Ellis called out on strikes his first time. Byrnes at second. 1 out. 3-1. Erubiel Durazo, the big left-handed slugger, is on deck, and he's been the hot bat for a while. Not just in this series, but for a while. Trying to put it back together here. The Athletics with 3 runs already in. And that's a strike to the inside. 3-2 now. 24 pitches thrown in this inning by Wakefield. Although sometimes you watch a knuckleball throw, you think he could probably throw 200 or 300 pitches in.
Yeah, I don't think that a knuckleball pitcher gets tired after 100 pitches because he's pushing the ball and not necessarily throwing it.
And that is ball 4. Wakefield wanted that call, but he did not get it. That's his second walk of the inning, plus he hit batsman. And Wallace talking with Grady Little, the manager. It looks like they're going to call the bullpen now and get somebody ready.
Designated hitter.
Unfortunately, you can't stay very long with Wakefield. You know, in this ballgame, you can't fall too far behind. But by the same token, you do not want to get into a bullpen too early. So, again, a tough decision for Grady Little to make.
So they've got the bullpen going right now, but this could turn into something real ugly in a hurry. Bronson Arroyo up in the bullpen, the right-handed. 2 men on, 1 man out, and Durazo takes a strike. Durazo single to center his first time. 21 homers, 77 RBIs during the season with 100 walks. And it's that on-base percentage, even with the low batting average, that caught the eye of Ken Macha. That's why eventually he installed him permanently in the number 2 spot. 0-2 the count.
Plus, I think it takes a little pressure off of a guy that they brought over here to be the big RBI man. You move him into the second spot where he can take some more pitches and not have to go out of the strike zone and try to drive in runs. And I think it just makes him a better player and makes him more relaxed in that situation.
Look at him. He looks
lovely. He looks
real
relaxed, doesn't he? And that's with 2 strikes on him and a knuckleball coming.
All right, maybe he was a little too relaxed that time. As Millar feeds the ball to Wakefield. As the runners advance, Burns over to third base, Ellis over to second with 2 down. And Eric Chavez, one of Oakland's 2 top sluggers, Chavez and Tejada, the next 2 hitters due up here.
Well, this is where it becomes very difficult for a knuckleball pitcher. Runner at third base. You throw your real good knuckleball and it may get away from the catcher. So all those things you have to factor in when you have a knuckleball pitcher on the mound.
I mean, if you're a manager, I mean, the flip side to having a good knuckleballer is just that you don't know what you're going to get necessarily from day to day.
And the problem is very few managers actually like knuckleball pitchers, you know, because of the ups and downs, because they keep you on the edge of your seat.
And that's ball 1. And you saw there, Mirabelli had a hard time. He didn't catch it so much as he stabbed at it.
Again, it just puts more pressure on him. It's like when you get a man at third, you put pressure on the infielders too.
On the other hand, he's a very handy man to have in the staff because he can start, he can relieve. I mean, he can do all kinds of things for you. Chavez struck out his first time. This is a big spot. I mean, the Red Sox already have 3 runs home, and a base hit here could make it a 5-run inning. And that's a pretty hefty deficit, even for a club as powerful as the Red Sox.
And with Barry Zito on the mound, it will be difficult.
The A's with 3-run home against the Red Sox in this inning. The Red Sox, who need to get this man out and keep it from getting worse. Burns at third, Ellis at second. 2 down, 2-1 the count. Tejada would be next. That one grabbed by Walker. He drops it and then throws it away. And 2 runs will score. Burns scores, and right behind him is Ellis. Chavez ends up at second. And Todd Walker, with the 1 error, dropping that ground ball and then compounding it with an extremely wild throw.
Well, the ball's hit in the hole. Walker gets there, but I don't know why he went down unless he stumbled. And then he caught the ball originally, and then he stumbled, and then he makes a bad throw. You can see Chavez wasn't even close to the bag. I don't know how they're going to score that.
Looks to me like an error.
Well, it looked to me like an error too, but they may give him a hit and an error.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe a hit and an error. I don't know.
That's a strike now to Tejada.
In any case, the A's have 5 runs.
It's an error all the way. That's the official scorer's ruling. 1 strike to Tejada. He hit into a force out his first time. Well, the Red Sox, the defense, and unfortunately Walker has had a couple of problems there. He cost Pedro Martinez a huge number of pitches when he threw away a double play ball in the 7th inning of last night's game. Pedro might have been able to pitch into the 8th inning, maybe even through the 8th inning. But that cost him 20 pitches or more when Walker made the wild throw last night.
Now here's the knuckleball, and anytime it starts in on the hitter, you'll see the hitter almost get hit again because he has to stay there so much longer than he would if it was a fastball. So fastball starts there, he gets out of the way because he knows where it's going to end up. See, that's the knuckleball that started at him and moved back.
And kind of broke like a curveball.
Yeah, act like a curveball. So you have to always stay there a little longer on a knuckleball. So if you stay there and it doesn't move back, you're going to almost get hit each and every time that it's inside.
This is the 37th pitch of the inning by Wakefield. And Tejada fouls it off his foot. 2-2 the count. 5 runs are in. And this has just been a disaster. This has been a manager's nightmare of what could happen with a knuckleballer on the mound.
Correct. But look, a knuckleballer always lives on the edge. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, but you know, the knuckleballer needs for his teammates to always make the plays for him. You know, he needs the catcher to knock the ball down with a runner at third. He needs for your infielders and outfielders to make the play.
Chavez took off there, but the ball lined into the glove of Johnny Damon, and the inning is over. 5 runs for the Athletics, and the Red Sox are in bad shape now in Game 2.
With Harold Reynolds, I'm Carl Ravitch, our Division Series studios. From a Red Sox perspective, this is a disaster.
Oh, absolutely, because now you're forcing to have to go to the bullpen. But I think the one thing the A's have done, Carl, is they got that knuckleball up. First 2 out of 4 hitters swung at the first pitch. They got it back up. One question, I'm wondering if Joe spent the night in the clubhouse as tired as it could be today.
Getting prepared. I'm sure he did. Joe, we'll be here all day with you guys. John, back to you.
I told you my adrenaline's flowing. The playoffs, that keeps you, that carries us through the first 6 innings.
Then what?
Then we have to improvise.
Here's Gabe Kapler, and he took a first pitch strike from Barry ZITO. ZITO sat in the dugout for a good long while there as Wakefield threw nearly 40 pitches.
Well, the one thing to remember, if you're the Red Sox, and they do have confidence in their offense.
Kapler into center field. Burns drifting back, still going back, all the way back onto the warning track near the 400-foot marker for the catch, and that ball really traveled.
Well, the ball does travel well here in the daytime. But I will say this, the Red Sox are going to get a shot at ZITO. They're not, I mean, they're not going to go quietly. They have too many good hitters on this ball club to go quietly. So we'll just see when they make their run. But I guarantee you they will, you know, get him in trouble a couple of times.
Here's Doug Mirabelli, the 9th place hitter in there rather than Jason Varitek. And really for no other reason than he always catches the knuckleballer.
Or he always tries to.
He's always the catcher.
Yeah, right.
When a knuckleballer is pitching. There we go.
Exactly.
That's as a position.
Yeah, because that's such a difficult task. I mean, you know, and to sit around for 4, 5, 6 days and then have to go grab a knuckleballer, that's tough.
He's the intended catcher.
The designated retriever.
1 ball, 1 strike to Mirabelli. And that is in there for a strike. 1-2. Damon, the leadoff man, is on deck. I mean, that second inning, I mean, talk about ugly. The A's got 2 hits in the inning. You see Damon on deck. There was a walk, a pass ball, they hit batsman. Then the 2-run error by Todd Walker. And the hit batsman, the man who and the 2 men who walked, all 3 of those guys scored. 2-2 the count. Fastball is a fair ball down the left field line. Dug out of the corner by Guillen, and Mirabelli is into second with a stand-up double, the first hit for the Red Sox.
Well, he gets a high pitch and he just rips it over the head of Chavez at third base. And Harold was talking about the fact that Wakefield was getting the ball up. That's why they were hitting him. So you get the ball up, a lot of these hitters, they're going to just be able to handle it. And one reason you handle the high pitch better is because you see it better. I mean, you can see the ball better. It's the plane from his delivery is right there for you.
But now he's throwing that high fastball at about 88. What if he was throwing it, say, 97 or 98?
Well, you still see it well, but you swing through it. Yeah, you swing through it, but it's the same situation.
You know, but I mean, ZITO used to throw a little harder than he throws now.
And I think that's one of the reasons he was 14 and 12. I don't think he was able to keep all the hitters as honest as he did, say, last year. You know, last year he could get ahead with the fastball, and then he threw the big curveball, and they would chase it, do a lot of things.
Damon fouls one back out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You saw that number of the Red Sox. I mean, they scored a ton of runs, nearly 6 a game. And as a team, they hit well in these kinds of situations. You put a man out there in scoring position, and just about everybody in the lineup was well capable of knocking him in with a base hit. But last night, they had a lot of chances to knock in runs and had only 1 clutch hit in the night. 1 out of 10 in their at-bats with runners in scoring position.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that the fact that they were able to handle Manny Ramirez last night, you know, was what kept the A's in the ball game. And that doesn't happen very often.
1-2, 1 out. Too high. Lays off that high fastball. 2-2 the count. Nomar GARCIAPARRA. The power's coming up. There's Nomar on deck. You saw Todd Walker. He's in the hole. That one is into right center field. Burns on the run. Still going. And it's over his head. Again, the ball traveling well. Mirabelli's going to score on a double by Damon. Now, they're saying that ball bounced over the wall?
Well, I hope so, because otherwise Burns just held the ball, and I was wondering why Damon had stopped at second base.
Okay, so apparently it bounced over the wall and hit that wall back behind the fence that's in play out there.
And watch when he gets it back, bounces. I'm not sure that.
It hit the top of the fence and then skipped up and hit the back wall, yeah.
All right, because he held it, and I'm saying, why isn't Damon running? We won't get a look at it there, but I'm sure it did hit the back wall.
Yeah, so at that point it became an automatic double. But here's Nomar.
Well, another key here. I mean, if you get 2 runs back right here, I mean, that puts you back in the ball game if you're the Red Sox, because they are definitely capable of scoring 3 more runs as the game goes along. But this is a key. That's a key run out there.
Right down the line, but foul. Nomar with a count of a ball and a strike. He popped up to short his first time.
And everybody says, well, that'll only make it 5-2. Well, that's what you want. You want to get back into the game. You can't say I'm going to go score 5 runs off of ZITO to get back. You get a couple here, a couple there, and before you know it, you're back in the ball game. That's what you have to do when you fall behind in a game early. You just try to get 1 here, 1 there, and all of a sudden you're back in the game. Man, what was that?
I feel very strongly that although the knowledgeable Red Sox fans of New England agree with your assessment, that they also feel strongly that getting 5 runs would be good, the best thing right here. 1-1 the count to Nomar. Look out. Moving him back with that high cutting fastball. 2 balls and a strike to Nomar GARCIAPARRA. For the year, Nomar had 28 homers and 105 runs batted in. Damon, the runner at second. He's fast. High and tight again. 3-1. Now he's throwing that fastball up. I mean, is that by design?
Well, I don't think so. I think it was up with 2 strikes to Damon. He tried to get it up. You know, you can put to finish him off. But I don't think you throw up there 2-1 to hitters like GARCIAPARRA.
3-1 now.
Good pitch, changeup,
and too low.
Yeah, but I'm a little shocked that he would throw a 3-1 changeup, except he was missing with the fastball high. They wanted to throw something to get the ball down.
Red Sox thinking more than just a couple runs here. 2 men on, 1 man out. They're talking about it at the mound. The MetLife blimp Snoopy 2 is cruising the skies of Oakland, providing the aerial coverage of today's game. The blimp typically cruises at a speed of 35 miles per hour. Hey, just like a knuckleball. And at an altitude of 1,200 feet. Look to the skies for the MetLife blimp in a town near you, and we are pleased to have them with us here today. So here's Todd Walker. Now, he gave away 2 runs on that error. Got a chance to at least get some of them back, but that's a fair ball to first and an out. HATTEBERG takes care of it, so Walker's gone on 1 pitch and is now 0 for 2 in this game. DAMON moves to third and GARCIAPARRA to second, and now Ramirez comes up in a spot that he seemed to be coming up in forever last night. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. ESPN's coverage of Game 2 of this American League Division Series. The Red Sox and the Athletics were on ESPN 2 today. The Red Sox, who fell last night in extra innings, just a crushing defeat. Trying to rebound today, but they're behind 5-1 right now. Runners at second and third, 2 down. The big RBI man Ramirez at the plate. In the air to left center. On the move is Guillen. He reaches out and makes the catch.
Well, we talked about their outfield having some speed, and you see it there with Guillen. He also has a good arm.
Just the one for the Red Sox. Scott HATTEBERG led off the second inning for the Red Sox, and it was a very deceiving for the Athletics. I keep saying the Red Sox.
Yeah, I know you were trying to get them 5 runs last inning.
It's the Red Sox and the Athletics. Yeah, all right. I'm a little fixated on the Red Sox not getting the 5 runs they needed there, Joe. In fact, I mean, even your assessment, they only needed to get 1 more there.
They needed 1 more there.
Well, they didn't get it.
Yeah, that would have made it very. That run was very important.
I mean, they had a runner at second and 1 out and a run in, and the big hitter's up. Manny Ramirez, although he hit that ball pretty well, that ball traveled well, that's for sure. It carried well out into left center field, and Guillen almost did not catch up to it, but Manny has not had a hit yet to drive in any runs. He had a bases loaded at bat last night, another 2 on at bat where they got him out. So that's 7 runners he's stranded now and has not driven in 1 yet. HATTEBERG sounded like he broke his bat on that one. A long run, and KAPLER gets there. 1 away. Tonight, Brock Berlin, Kellen Winslow Jr. and the Miami Hurricanes will look to continue their quest for a 3rd straight appearance in the national championship game. They'll be taking on the West Virginia Mountaineers in the Orange Bowl. College football Thursday on ESPN. That's tonight at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. College football.
Wood Nelly.
Is that were you doing a Keith Jackson impression?
No,
there?
no. I was just saying Wood Nelly.
So, but you sort of associate that with Keith Jackson and college football, don't you?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't aware of that, but
No.
that was you do it well, though. It sounds very authentic. Jose Guillen at the plate. Guillen drew a walk in the second inning, and with that, the Athletics started a 5-run rally. That ball inside. 2 balls and a strike. Again, a very dismal inning for Wakefield. 2 walks, a hit batsman, a pass ball. The Athletics got 5 runs on only 2 hits. No swing on that one, says Wally Bell, the first base umpire. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. We were in Atlanta last night, and that was an exciting game.
Very exciting.
And Marcus Giles looked like the Rays had a real bad break in a game they needed to win. Giles couldn't play. Well, Mark DeRosa played, and he got the winning hit. He was the hero. So
they got 3 RBIs from the second base spot. Giles wasn't playing. He pinch hit, got a hit, and DeRosa. But before the game yesterday, Bobby Cox told me, he says, one thing DeRosa can do is hit. And that's what he said.
Whoa, Nelly. All right. So here is Hernandez. Guillen has walked twice now. And as we told you, the first one precipitated a big inning for the Athletics. Hernandez now lifts a high fly ball left center. Ramirez started over, now has to go back. Finally, Johnny Damon comes over and takes charge, tagging up Guillen, and he is into second base.
wise and heads-up play there by Guillen, because he could see that the sun came back out when that ball went in the air. And they were having trouble with it out in the outfield. So he goes back, tags up, and Damon tries to throw a strike to second base, but it wouldn't have been in time anyway. Good job there by Guillen.
Well, good job in every respect except the slide.
Well,
I mean, did you see that slide? That's not the way. That's not the way they taught him to do it, is it?
I'm sure they didn't teach him that way, but he got the job done.
I mean, what does he think he was going to go?
Well, they're going to see if he tagged up too soon. But they tag him at second base. They says no. They were trying to see if he left first base too soon, and he did not. And you want to see the slide.
Yeah.
Man. I guess you call it a slide.
Wow, that looked like something you'd see on the like the Discovery Channel, you know, like one of those wildlife shows. I mean, what was he doing? It looked like he was trying to break up a double play or something. What was he thinking on that one? I hope he didn't hurt himself.
Well, I'm going to give him credit for the, making the move.
All right.
We won't give him any style points, though.
Okay. It was a great move, and I'm glad he didn't seriously injure himself. Jermaine Dye grounds out to GARCIAPARRA. Down to the fourth inning. Ortiz. And here's David Ortiz leading it off for the Red Sox against Barry Zito. And the big curveball drops in there for a called strike. Ortiz was called out on strikes his first time. I asked Grady Little about Ortiz and playing on an everyday basis, because last year he did not hit all that well against left-handed pitching while he was with the Twins, and they platooned him. But Little said, if you go back 2 years, you'll find out that he hit lefties real well. He hit 400 when he was playing regularly.
You're right. People don't realize how difficult it is to hit, say, left-handed pitching if you're a platoon and you play against right-handers, and then you might get one at bat against a left-hander over a 2-week period. That's tough to do.
Ortiz from the Dominican Republic. He's only 27 years old. Big and strong. Originally signed by the Seattle Mariners. 2-2 the count. And another curveball puts him away. ZITO has struck out Ortiz twice. Now let's go to Dave Ryan. Dave.
All right, John, thanks a lot. Special guest here, Brad Gilbert, the coach of Andy Roddick, the U.S. Open champion, the other A-Rod, not Alex Rodriguez, but Andy Roddick. How about your connection with baseball? You said you played a little bit growing up in Texas and Nebraska. Now you're here to throw out the first pitch. Was that a thrill for you?
Yeah, it was cool. I just enjoy coming out and watching sports in general. Whenever I get a chance to go to a game live, I always pretty much take that opportunity.
About a month now since you beat Juan Carlos Ferrero, the U.S. Open, in straight sets. How's your life changed since then, winning your first ever Grand Slam title?
It's been a little bit of madness since then. But I'm just trying to take it in stride, and I'm anxious to get back out on the court.
All right, so Brad Gilbert, you're a pretty big A's fan. We understand you have season tickets. Always a big baseball fan?
I've been an Oakland fan my whole life. I was here in the series 72, 73, 74. I'm a huge Raider fan. I'm an Oakland native, like your boy up in this booth there, Joe Morgan.
He wants to know where your Metallica hat is.
Hey, this is A's day, man. This is business today.
Hey, Dave.
That Joe Morgan's a pretty good tennis player, we understand, right?
He's got a pretty good forehand. Backhand needs a little work, but he's got some game. He likes to come to the net on everything. He bull rushes the net on everything.
Now, see, he's giving everybody a scouting report on me, man.
You play tennis?
Yeah, I used to play. Actually, I was being honest with you, John. Not being modest, but I was a pretty good tennis player at one point before I retired. I used to play in a lot of the USTA tournaments around California, and Brad did. I used to help me out every once in a while.
And a curveball, and Kevin MILLAR is called out on strikes. ZITO's got the hook working right now in the fourth inning.
The earlier part of the game, his curveball was kind of rolling, but now you see it snap. Look at that. I mean, that's the 12-6 job right there. And it starts up so high in the strike zone that you give up on it, and the bottom falls out.
2 down. Here's Bill Miller.
That's what we used to refer to as a yellow hammer, the snake.
The big big
yellow hammer. Yeah, the big yellow hammer.
Yellow hammer.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
I
one.
know. Well,
yeah.
when you were playing for Bob Bird Insurance, they didn't have a yellow hammer. But if you got to the big leagues, they had a yellow hammer.
We had a couple of guys
with yellow hammers.
Yeah, Mike Brazil, he had a good one. Oh man, you never would have had a hit against Mike Brazil. Let me tell you. 2-0 the count to Barry Zito. Any of your other tennis buddies or anything you want us to interview during the game, or kind of?
I just wanted to alert Brad that at the end of the World Series this year, I'm going into training, so I can get back to my tennis tournaments.
Whoa, Nelly.
Why do you think I'm going on this diet? So I can get myself in shape to perform this winter.
2-1 the count to Bill Miller, and that is a foul down the left field line. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We were in Atlanta last night. That was an exciting game.
Yes.
I mean, dramatic game. John Smoltz, the great pro, and he talked about after the game he didn't really have his good stuff.
I could see that.
But he ended up getting the win, and you mentioned it on the air. You saw it right away. But he said, sometimes in these games, it's not stuff so much as its attitude.
Right.
2-2 the count.
To use a tennis analogy, I remember Boris Becker said, when you get to the 5th set of a Wimbledon tournament, it's no longer about tennis. It's about the attitude and what you're going to do there. It's not about tennis anymore. It's not about technicalities and being technical with your serve and so forth. He says about the attitude.
Well, so from now on, you can start quoting John Smoltz.
Yeah,
exactly. When you want to talk about that. 2-2 the count. Curveball, strike 3 call. Wow. He must have thrown 10 yellow hammers at the Red Sox there in the 4th inning. Eric Burns coming up. 5-1 Oakland.
ESPN2's presentation of the 2003 MLB Division Series. Brought to you by Little Debbie. Little Debbie single-serve snack cakes are perfect when you're on the go. Unwrap a smile today.
The view from high above here in Oakland, near the island of Alameda on the eastern side of San Francisco Bay, and Manny Ramirez takes a called strike. The Boston Red Sox, a .289 team batting average. They average nearly 6 runs per game. They hit 238 home runs. But where is the offense? Only 1 run today against Zito. And Manny Ramirez, who has walked, and then he flied out deep to left center in the 3rd, which was turned into a nice catch by Guillen. By the way, Guillen's no longer in the game. Terrence Long has taken over in left field, and that's a base hit. And Long over to pick it up. That ball really hit hard. Chavez made a dive for it, but it was already by him. Hit number 5 for Boston. Meanwhile, here is our colleague, Dave Ryan.
All right, John, thanks so much. Pretty good follow-up season to his American League Cy Young Award-winning year for Barry Zito. He won 23 games last year, 14 this year, but his ERA is top 10 in the American League, and what the opposing hitters are hitting also very good, 218 for the American League. But still, it's style. That's exactly what Barry Zito has changed a little bit over his last 4 starts. He and his manager, Ken MACHA, agree he's been much more aggressive. Not quite as fine, not overthrowing. He's happy with his style, and as Joe said, much more aggressive in his last few starts and today against Boston.
All right, Dave, and he has really had David Ortiz in a quandary. Ortiz has seen that breaking ball, he's seen the changeup, and then every time he sees a fastball, he's late on it.
Yeah.
As he was in the first pitch here. And another fastball, and he fouls that one, but again off to the left.
Well, that shows that Hernandez and Zito understand, what the hitter is thinking up there. I mean, you throw him those 3 curveballs, he come back and says, well, I'm going to look for that curveball and pull it in the hole. Well, what do? They throw him 2 fastballs.
Another fastball. That one into left field. Long battling the sun for a moment, and he makes the catch.
So he never got a chance to sit on that curveball and try to do any damage with it. That's smart pitching, and that shows a pitcher and a catcher working very well together.
Zito has thrown 99 pitches in this game, and it's only the 6th inning. Of course, Oakland's bullpen has done a great job. Guys like Bradford, Rincon, although Rincon, they were booing him here last night. He gave up the home run to Todd Walker. They fell behind in the game after Hudson had left. Here is Kevin Millar. And a big curveball in there for a called strike. Millar 0 for 2. Here's Rincon. And according to Ken Macha, all of the relievers are available again, including Keith Folk, who pitched 3 innings through 52 pitches last night. Curveball in there. Strike 2 call. So Ortiz is up there. He's throwing him fastballs. Now Millar comes up there and he's seen nothing but curveballs. Red Sox have 5 hits in the game. Fastball. Blew it by him. On the outside, strike 3. 2 down. For over 15 years, the MetLife Blimps have been providing aerial television coverage of sporting and special events. And today, Snoopy 2 is bringing us these aerial shots of the Red Sox and the Athletics. Look to the skies as the MetLife Blimp visits a town near you. Here now, Bill Miller 0 for 2 in the game. Broken bat blue. Long coming in into shallow left center. And quickly the inning is ended. A leadoff single by Ramirez, but he never got past first base. 5-1 Oakland. Ramon Hernandez drove in the winner last night. But so far for Nomar and the Red Sox, the offense just has not been there. The Oakland pitching has been a little bit too much for the Red Sox. Plus the Red Sox have had their chances and they have made errors. They've made some mistakes, or they've given away a little bit too much. And Oakland's defense has looked sensational. Tim Wakefield, that knuckler goes inside. The ultimate point being, of course, if Oakland maintains this lead, Boston will be down 2-0. And although the series will go back to Boston next, the A's would need only 1 more win to wrap it up. Of course, they've been there before.
Yeah, exactly.
And not been able to do it. Bullpen activity. Alan Embry, a left-hander, warming up in the Boston bullpen.
But I guarantee the A's learned a lot from those first-round losses, you know, to the Yankees, and especially the last one when they were up 2-0 to the Yankees.
Dive fouls one. He's been hit by a pitch and scored a run. Grounded out to short. That was the 100th pitch of the day for Wakefield. All of the scoring against Wakefield occurred in the 2nd inning. And all of that scoring, all 5 runs scored with only 2 hits. And then 2 unearned runs. It might have been a 3-run rally, but a huge error allowed the final 2 runs of that rally to score. 2 hits, 2 walks, a hit batsman, a pass ball, then the error. All of that in the 2nd inning, plus 2 hits. Ooh. Strike 3.
Well, you have to give Wakefield credit. He has been able to hold the A's right there since the 2nd inning. And you mentioned Boston has had some chances to whittle away at the lead, but they have not taken advantage of it.
You know, the Red Sox have 5 hits total. The first 4 hitters in the order have 4 of those hits and 2 walks. So the first 4 guys have been on base 6 times. But the rest of the batting order has 1 hit in 13 at-bats, including 7 strikeouts. So the numbers 5 through 9 hitters have just been dominated by Barry Zito. And that's hard to do. The Red Sox usually have power up and down the lineup.
Well, that was one of those high knuckleballs that didn't do anything, and Burns hits it over the head of Ramirez in left field and drives in 2.
And that made it a 3-run rally. There's a fastball just a little bit too far inside. 1-2. Burns got that 2-run double. One of those 2 hits in the 2nd. Then he got an infield single in the 4th. And the knuckleball dazzles him. Strike 3. Strikeout number 6 for Wakefield.
Well, this is a 2-strike knuckleball. See, look, the bottom falls out of that one and moves away. Burns has an unusual swing anyway. But that knuckleball will make you swing a little funny every once in a while.
And there's ball 1 to Mark Ellis. He's the leadoff man. Burns talking it over in the dugout.
T-Long.
Long in the game now. Came on for Guillen in the 6th inning as a defensive replacement. They're in the last of the 6 right now. 2 down, bases empty. Ellis has struck out, walked, and been hit by a pitch. So he's been on base twice. Since Ellis got hit by that pitch in the 4th inning, Wakefield has retired every hitter since.
And a little fastball over the outside corner.
And I mean, fast is only in a relative sense. He did it again.
Yeah.
2-2. I think he's thrown more of those fastballs to Ellis than any other hitter. 2-2. And back to the knuckleball. And that one did some dancing. He strikes out the side, has 7 for the game. 7th inning, Kapler, Mirabelli, Damon due up. East versus West here in the division series. The Oakland Athletics leading the powerful Red Sox from the East 5-1 and leading in this series 1-0 as Gabe Kapler takes ball 1 from Barry Zito, the 102nd pitch of the day thrown by Zito, and the Oakland bullpen is busy right now. Kapler has flied deep to center and struck out. 1 of 7 Barry Zito strikeouts. We played 6 full innings here. The Athletics 5 runs 4 hits, Boston 1 run 5 hits and 1 error. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Game 2 of the American League Division Series, and a huge game for the Red Sox, who are heading home to Fenway hoping to be tied at a game apiece with 2 games coming up at Fenway Park, but they are trailing here 5-1, and Barry Zito has dazzled them most of the day. That is in there for a strike. A ball and a strike now. Mirabelli on deck. All of the scoring for the Athletics occurred in the 2nd inning. That one is laced down the left field line, but foul. Kapler hit it sharply, but a little bit out in front of it. Bradford, number 53, the right-hander. Halama, the left-hander, number 54, up in the Oakland bullpen now. Barry Zito on the hill. And the big curveball, another strikeout. 8 strikeouts for Zito. 1 down. Of course, 25 years ago today, Fenway Park, and Mike Torres on the mound. Bucky Dent hit the home run that put the Yankees ahead of the Red Sox in the 1-game playoff. A great pennant race that year. They call him now in Boston, Bucky Bleeping Dent. Wasn't even using his own bat. Mickey Rivers was on deck, and he noticed that Dent's bat was cracked. He hollered at him and pointed that to him and offered his bat. So Mickey took care of Bucky there. Bucky took Mickey's bat and hit the 3-run homer with it. Life was never the same in Boston for Mike Torres either. Here's Doug Mirabelli, who has doubled and scored a run, the only Boston run. He's also struck out, and he's quickly in an 0-2 hole right here. The numbers 5 through 9 hitters have just been dominated. Mirabelli's the only one of them. It's Ortiz, Millar, Miller, Kapler, and Mirabelli. Mirabelli's the only one of those 5 who has even reached base against Barry Zito. All of his strikeouts have come versus those last 5 hitters. And another curveball, another strikeout. Number 9 for Zito.
Well, he definitely has a good curveball today, and he didn't start the game with it. He kept throwing it and worked his way into a good rhythm with it, and now, I mean, he's just making the bottom fall out of it. And that's one good thing for young pitchers to remember. If you start off the game, you do not have a good curveball, don't abandon it. Just keep throwing it until you get the feel.
Fastball on the outside to Damon. And Damon has had 2 hits. He doubled home their run, the only run so far, back in the 3rd, and he singled in the 5th. Curveball. Ellis, easy play, and that's the inning. One of the easiest innings yet for Barry Zito. 10 pitches and out. Middle of the 7th inning. Durazo, Chavez, Tejada coming up. The Athletics are in front. The Oakland Athletics 5, the Boston Red Sox 1 as we move to the last half of the 7th inning. Alan Embry comes on to pitch now for Boston in relief of Tim Wakefield. Well, Wakefield had the one horrible inning and then held the line from there. Rubio Durazo leads off, and a fastball called a strike on the outside. Certainly quite a different look from Embry versus Tim Wakefield.
Well, I think Embry was the guy last night, though, that Durazo got the game-tying base hit off with 2 outs in the 9th, and a base hit to left center.
Embry came in for Byung-Hyun Kim. Back in Embry, he got a piece of that one. GARCIAPARRA throws out Durazo, and there is one away. Now let's go to Dave Ryan. Dave?
Well, John, at the top of the broadcast, we talked about how Boston would respond emotionally to that heartbreaking loss last night here in Game 1. But how about the job the Oakland A's have done after the electrical atmosphere here at the Coliseum for Game 1? It was like a World Series atmosphere from the first pitch when Ramon Hernandez had the bunt single to win the game. And the celebration afterwards was incredible. But Ken Macha, the A's manager, told us before the game his team would be focused. He would be calm. Obviously, he was right. Obviously, he knows his team pretty well.
Well, indeed, the Athletics, and of course, everything looks pretty well focused and calm when your pitcher is retiring everybody that he sees over and over again. I mean, in baseball, it all kind of starts right there.
Yes, it does. The guy in the middle of the diamond controls just about everything, all the emotion.
Into center. Damon flipped the sunglasses down. He's waiting for it, and he's got it. Chavez retired. Chavez is hitless in this series. He is 0 for 4 in this game. 2 down, and now Tejada coming up. Barry Zito, 7 innings, 1 run, 5 hits allowed, 113 pitches total, and Chad Bradford is warming up in the bullpen, so perhaps Zito is finished. Nomar Garciaparra, Todd Walker, and Manny Ramirez due up for the Red Sox in the 8th inning. Tejada 0 for 3 in the game. Fastball for a strike. You know, it's funny. I mean, you look at the Red Sox and you say offensively, well, they look flat. Well, a good pitcher will make a team look a little flat.
Well, that's true. But I mean, if you look at the A's, I mean, they only have 4 base hits in this ball game also.
What's wrong with them? They look flat.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than the 5 runs,
except that 1 inning.
Other than the 4-run lead they have.
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike to Tejada. Tejada 0 for 3. The Red Sox have done a great job of shutting down the Oakland duo. Chavez is 0 for 10. Tejada is 1 for 9 in this series. And yet Oakland won the first game, and they're well ahead here in Game 2. So their 2 biggest stars have not produced yet. But other people have been. Today, Eric Burns, Ramon Hernandez again. Is Ramon. He drove in the first run today after driving in the winner last night. Burns with that 2-run 2nd inning double. Oakland has only 12 hits in the 2 games of the series, but they've scored 10 runs. Nomar throws out Tejada, and a very quick inning there for Embry. Time running short on the Red Sox in this one. Big hitters coming up.
ESPN2's presentation of the 2003 MLB Division Series, brought to you by Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
Oakland 5, Boston 1. Barry Zito with the jacket on, heading back into the clubhouse. He's finished for the day. 7 very strong innings, 1 run, 5 hits allowed. And now Chad Bradford, the right-hander, is on in relief. Bradford, who came on during the 8th inning last night, got the final 2 outs of the 8th. And he's become a key man in that Oakland bullpen, which has been a very real source of strength to this ball club. They don't often lose leads late in games. And Bradford almost looks like he scrapes his fingers on the front slope of the mound when he throws those pitches. 1 ball, no strikes to Nomar Garciaparra. Bradford threw 12 pitches in last night's game. One right to the shortstop. Tejada sets himself. And GARCIAPARRA is out. NOMAR, who'd been aboard twice earlier with a walk and a single.
Well, normally you look upstairs to find the release point of the pitcher, but with Bradford you have to look down at the ground, and you get the view here. It misses the ground about 6 to 8 inches, and that's where you have to find the release point.
Chad Bradford, whom the A's acquired. He'd been with the White Sox, and it was obviously a great pickup for the Athletics. They didn't have to give up much to get him. Although the young catcher, a catching prospect, didn't play a lot for the White Sox this past year. They think he's going to be a good one, Miguel Olivo. So maybe time will show that the White Sox made a good trade too. But Bradford's been a very effective setup man for Oakland. This is the third year that he's done a very strong job. Last night the bullpen went 4 2/3 innings, with the lone exception of Ricardo Rincon, who gave up the 2-run homer to Todd Walker. The Athletics bullpen did the job. Of course, Keith Fulk, the closer, went 3 of those innings and threw 52 pitches, and that's too high. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Walker. Walker, by the way, after a 4-hit game last night, 0 for 3 in this game. He did not get the ball out of the infield against ZITO. 3 groundouts. Sun breaking through the overcast once again here in Oakland. 1-2 the count. And down the left field line, twisting foul. Back into the crowd. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 36,305 here today after better than 50,000 last night. Yesterday here in the Bay Area, for the Giants and Oakland games on a weekday, they sold more than 94,000 tickets for playoff baseball. Giants in the afternoon, 43,700 something, more than 50,000 here, 50,600 plus. That's out of play. Still 1-2 to Walker.
When we talked to Grady Little, before the ball game, just so it won't seem like tomorrow, Saturday, when he takes Walker out of the lineup, it was because of today. He said Damian Jackson was going to play on Saturday, and that, it wouldn't have mattered how well Walker played today. Jackson was going to get a start on Saturday
against the left-hander Ted Lilly, who will go in game 3 for Oakland against the right-hander Derek Lowe. Fastball just missing inside. 2-2 the count. As Dave Ryan pointed out earlier, despite throwing 42 pitches in last night's ball game, Derek Lowe, who actually got the loss last night, will be all set to start the ball game Saturday at Fenway, where he has been great this year. Lowe seems to have a high comfort level pitching at Fenway Park. And that will be an out. HATTEBERG takes care of it. 2 men gone. Walker 0 for 4. In game 3 at Fenway. It looks like Saturday night, that ball game. Ted Lilly for the Athletics, and his 12-10 record's a little bit deceiving because he was so hot down the stretch. And Derek Lowe 17-7 for the Red Sox, and he was outstanding at Fenway all year. The question is, will the Red Sox be playing to stay alive in that ball game, or will they be playing to go ahead? 1 strike the count to Manny Ramirez. Manny has walked, flied out deep to left center, and singled. Red Sox have not had a base runner since Ramirez led off the 6th inning with a single. 8 in a row have gone down. 1 ball, 1 strike. Yankees and Minnesota. The Yankees in a similar spot to the Boston tonight. I mean, in the East, a lot of thought about how exciting it would be to see the Red Sox up against the Yankees next week in the League Championship Series.
Well, I'm sure the Oakland A's and the Minnesota Twins fans aren't pulling for that.
A's fans think it would be real exciting to see the A's play the Yankees or
anybody,
whoever.
Yeah.
1-2 now to Ramirez. And this mighty Red Sox batting order just being shut down. Ramirez with a check swing. And he just had that ball skim off his bat foul. 1-2.
Although if you're an A's fan, you're probably pulling for Minnesota because the Yankees have beaten you twice, you know, in the first round. Minnesota's only beaten you once.
Well, they kept saying last year that A's were better off playing Minnesota the first round, and then they lost to the Twins. Twins don't get any respect.
No, you're right.
I saw where Jock Jones was pointing out. He was reading the papers in New York yesterday at their hotel there. And he says, you know, everything was about how the Yankees lost. It's almost like we weren't even involved in the game. He says it had been just the opposite. If we'd been the team that made some mistakes and whatnot. He says he was sure that they'd write about how the Yankees won.
Well, there's no doubt Minnesota played well. They were aggressive from the first inning on, and they were able to come out on top. Tonight's game is obviously the big game for the Yankees.
Down and in a check swing by Ramirez. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Andy Pettitte tonight for the Yankees, and Brad Radke. And Radke was just sensational in the stretch. A big reason as to how the Twins were able to overcome the White Sox and win the Central Division. And Radke won the clinching Game 5 against Oakland right here in this ballpark last year. 2-2 the count to Ramirez. 2 down, nobody on. Strike 3 call. And so it goes for Ramirez and the Red Sox here in Oakland. 5-1 Athletics. Here come the Athletics now. Last of the 8th inning. Scott Hatteberg leads off against the new Boston pitcher, the hard-throwing right-hander Scott Williamson. Hatteberg, the former Red Sox player, hits a foul off the left field line, back out of play. Williamson, the former Cincinnati Red, and here are his overall numbers, although he did not really pitch well with Boston.
Well, when he came over, he was just one of the guys in the bullpen. He never did really get a chance to assume the closer's role that he had in Cincinnati a couple of years ago.
This guy throws real hard. His ERA for the Red Sox was 6.2. 20 in the 3rd innings pitched. 20 hits allowed. High and inside, ball 2. Wakefield, the starter, went 6 innings, gave up 5 runs, 3 earned. Embry pitched a 3-up, 3-down 7th inning. And now here is Williamson. Hatteberg will be followed by another lefty, Terrence Long, and then Ramon Hernandez. And that foul out of play off to the left. 2-2 the count. Oakland did all of its scoring in the 2nd inning. Everything just came apart all at once. Oakland only had 2 hits in the rally, but they didn't need much more than that because of all the gifts. 2 walks, a hit batsman, a pass ball, and then a big error by Todd Walker. 2-2 to Hatteberg, and that is low. 3-2. Of course, now Oakland 2 years ago won the first 2 games of a division series against the Yankees in New York, and then came home and had Barry Zito set to go. And Barry Zito pitched a magnificent game and lost. That was the game where Jeter made the remarkable play.
And Posada hit the home run.
That's into left center for a base hit for Hatteberg, his first of the game. Of course, the Yankees came on and won that game and won that series anyway. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. The Major League Baseball is giving away World Series tickets for life and other great prizes. The winning hologram numbers will be announced during games 1 through 4 of the World Series. Visit your neighborhood Radio Shack store for your chance to win World Series tickets for life. Here's Terrence Long. Right up the middle and past the diving Garciaparra. stopping at second is Hatteberg. So consecutive base hits to start the inning against Williamson. And now Ramon Hernandez comes on. We mentioned they had 2 hits in that 5-run second. Ramon got the first of them to drive in the first run of the game after he drove in the final run of last night's victory.
Well, the Red Sox are looking for a bunt here. I mean, not, you know, a bunt for a base hit. They're looking for a sacrifice.
Well, we certainly know that he's a good bunter.
Yes, we do. I don't think they'll be bunting, though, but we'll see.
Jermaine Dye on deck.
Yep, he's squaring around.
And he takes 1 ball, no strikes. The A's had only 22 sacrifice bunts all year.
Well, maybe he wasn't supposed to bunt.
This was last night in the 12th. Bases loaded, 2 down. And what a game that was. 4 hours, 37 minutes, 12 innings. One of the longest postseason games of all time, with a lot of twists and turns. So I think that probably he wasn't supposed to be bunting in that first pitch.
No, that's why Ron Washington came down and talked to him. At least I would think that he wasn't bunting. I didn't think he was going to bunt anyway.
Of course, and he didn't bunt.
Yeah, you have a
but he certainly looked like he was intending to bunt.
Well, you have a 4-run lead. You might try to break it open right here.
He is 1 for 3 in the game with that RBI. Left center. Damon started in. Now he's got to go back in a hurry. Reaches out and makes the catch. The runners have to beat a hasty retreat. Hatteberg back to second, Long back to first. You know, the outfield has been surprised at how well the ball has carried all day long.
Well, it just seems to me that the Boston outfielders are all playing shallow. And, I mean, he gets a good jump on it finally after he realizes it's hit well. He has to backtrack.
I mean, he started moving laterally and then had to angle back. So Hernandez is gone. So Hernandez flied out. The runners are still there. He should have bunted. Here's Jermaine Dye. He was hit by a pitch and scored a run in that second inning. Since then, has grounded to short and struck out. And that's a strike at the knees on the inside. 0-1 the count in Boston's 9th inning. David Ortiz, Kevin Millar, and Bill Miller will be coming up. Or at least those are the 3 due up. None of those 3 has had a hit. Nobody other than Mirabelli in the last part of the Boston batting order has reached base in this game. Off the fist foul. 0-2. And Keith Folk, who threw 52 pitches last night in 3 innings in the extra inning game, is warming up in the Oakland bullpen right now. And they told Ken MACHA before the game that he was okay. MACHA visited with him in the outfield where Folk was shagging during batting practice. He said, yeah, well, I'm ready. I'm okay.
I think you're in one of those situations maybe where MACHA says, I'm just not going to take any chances.
I mean, well, the way the Red Sox can hit, if something gets started, sometimes it can be tough to turn it off.
Well, not only that, I mean, he's probably saying if it was 5-2, I'd bring him in.
Yeah.
So 5-1, I'll just give him that little extra cushion.
I mean, it's really just a rule book thing,
yeah.
Right? The difference.
Right.
One way you qualify for a save, one way you don't. Softly hit to second. Walker charges it and makes the play with the runners advancing. Hatteberg to third, Long over to second. Dye retired, 2 down. The Oakland Athletics getting all of their offense back in the second inning. A 5-run rally, and they lead still 5-1 in the last of the 8th inning. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan with our colleague Dave Ryan, and we are at the Network Associates Coliseum. The Athletics in the postseason for the 4th consecutive year, but they have not won in the first round in any of the 3 seasons prior to this one. So they're trying to to extend on. And they are threatening to go to Boston ahead 2-0 in this best-of-5. Ball 1 to Burnes. Now Hernandez's hit was a big one in the first inning, or the second inning, because it drove in the first run. But Burnes got the kind of the back-breaking hit, the big double that propelled the rally into a more of a big inning.
Well, he drove in 2, plus he put 2 more in the scoring position that scored on the error, by Walker.
A very big hit in this game. And Burnes takes inside. Bay Area native. Although, he always liked the A's as a kid, but he grew up rooting for the Giants. Grew up on the other side of the bay in the peninsula. Very likable. And there was a time this year where he would look like a star out there. Hit over 300. Was hitting for the hit for the cycle one day against the Giants in an interleague game.
Well, he actually struggled since, playing that game against the Giants.
Well, you mean because he's only hit 149 since then?
I mean,
define struggle.
He was hitting well over 300, and it was, he was on his way to just a great season. Then he just went into a horrible slump.
A horrible slump. Now that's different than struggling.
Okay.
9 for 95 he went at one point.
Oh, man.
Right after that cycle. In the next 28 games after the cycle, 9 hits in 95 at bats. But since then, he finished up the year hitting 263 after that.
Right.
Although 263, to me, that's struggling.
Okay. Well, after he got off to such a great start, and to end up there it is, in a way.
2-2 the count to Burnes. Runners at second and third. Oakland already ahead 5-1. And Williamson trying to hold the line here. Boston will have 3 outs of life left to it in the 9th inning. Burnes at the plate. Ellis on deck. You saw Durazo. He's in the hole. Bill Miller at third. Playing very deep for Burnes. Got that opened up stance. Slider misses. So now it's a full count, 3-2. Oakland, of course, when you think of the A's in those last 3 postseasons, it wasn't just Hudson and Zito. You also had Mulder. They had that big 3, an imposing trio of starters. Mulder on the disabled list now. So what are they going to do? They're going to go with just 3 starters. Hudson would be due back in game 4. Zito would be back in game 5, if there is a game 5, right here. No. A 3-2 slider, a beauty, strikes him out, and that is the inning. So for Boston, 3 outs away from going home, down 2-0. Ortiz, Millar, and Miller coming up. Ortiz has struck out twice and flied out to left once. You see Fulk had 43 saves in the regular season. And he's not your prototype closer, but there were very few who were more effective than Keith Fulk this year. Fastball for a strike. 1-1 to Ortiz. Kevin Millar on deck, and then Bill Miller due up third in the inning.
Well, and I definitely can understand if folks said he was okay to pitch, that Ken Macha would use him. I mean, you want to keep things the way that you've been, successful. And you've been very successful using your bullpen and getting to Fulk and letting him finish the game off. And like you said, it doesn't matter whether it's 5-1, 7-1, or 8-1. You want to finish it off. But as you mentioned, he threw a lot of pitches yesterday, but apparently he told him he was okay.
Well, and he looks pretty good right now.
Yeah, he's throwing the fastball in under the hands of Ortiz, and Ortiz has not been able to catch up with him.
Ortiz has not had a hit in this series.
Yeah, he went 0 for 6 yesterday, right?
Yeah, 0 for 5. Yeah. That's what I had him for.
Yeah.
He is 0 for 8 with 4 strikeouts in the series. Got a piece of that one, fouling it off into the crowd. 2-2 the count. 10 Red Sox have struck out today, and 21 have struck out in the 2 games of this series. Fulk last night, 3 innings, 3 hitless innings. He did walk 2, but it was a superb performance. Of course, he got a little help from Eric Chavez in that one play. 2-2 the count. A very protective looking cut there, and he pops it foul to stay alive. Sun shining brightly in Oakland. Game 3 of the series at Fenway on Saturday. And Boston has not had a hit since the 6th inning. They have not had a run since the 3rd inning. They have not had a win since the regular season ended. 2-2 the count, and Ortiz fouls it again. Well, after trailing 2-0 in the best-of-5 series, it's a rather short list of teams that came back and won the series anyway. The Yankees did it, of course, against Oakland.
Well, it's been done 6 times. Boston says, why not 7? And make no mistake about it, I mean, you're going home to Boston. You're going to have your Boston fans there. And, you know, I don't think this series is over by any means. I mean, obviously you have to give a big edge to Oakland, but Boston in Boston can be very difficult to beat.
That one is hit in the air to left field. Terrence Long is back. Now I think that's off the wall.
Off the wall, exactly.
And even the one he hit back in the 6th inning might have scraped off the wall at Fenway.
Well, they're built for that ballpark. I mean, there are a lot of fly ball hitters, and they hit well in the ballpark there. That's why, being honest, I said if they could split here going back, they would obviously have things in their favor.
I remember Fred Lynn, who at the time he left the Red Sox had a career average of .350 at Fenway and .270 everywhere else. And he said that sometimes he'd be down, they'd come back from a road trip and he'd be slumping. He'd take batting practice, and they'd have a very poor swing at a batting practice pitch and hit a pop up to left field. He'd be berating himself, oh, come on, Freddie. And then he'd hear this little tink, you know, the ball hitting off the tin of the wall out there. And he said, I'm back at Fenway. And really, the wall is such a great asset to a left-handed hitter who can take a tough pitch and flick it out to left field, and that wall is so close. But Ortiz not getting that benefit of that here. Kevin Millar quickly behind in the count, 0-2.
Most of the time he throws a lot of fastballs and changeups. That looked like a little cut fastball.
Ortiz 0 for 4. Millar 0 for 3 today with 2 strikeouts. Back to Folk. Nice grab. Now Millar is 0 for 4. 2 down, nobody on in the ninth. And our thanks to the MetLife blimp, Snoopy 2. She's been with us today, bringing us views from high above the Coliseum. Since 1987, the MetLife blimps, Snoopy 1 and Snoopy 2, have flown over 1 million miles to provide aerial coverage of sporting events and television specials throughout the U.S. So now Bill Miller, the American League batting champion, but 0 for 3 in this game. Miller 1 for 8 in the series. And that fastball runs away. 1 ball, no strikes. Red Sox had 4 runs and 12 hits last night in the 12-inning game. But they had a lot more scoring opportunities last night than today. They couldn't get the big hit a few times last night. Today they've hardly had any chances. Only in the 3rd inning, when they had 2 men on with 1 man out and Walker and Ramirez up, they didn't get anything there. And in the 5th inning, they had 2 men on with 2 men out and Walker up. And those have been the really only scoring opportunities other than the back-to-back doubles hit by Mirabelli and Damon in the 3rd.
Well, in the middle innings, ZITO was very untouchable. I mean, in the 4th, 5th, and 6th innings, I mean, he was in complete control.
Jason Varitek on deck. Miller slaps one into left field for a base hit. Well, so Miller keeps it alive.
That's why he's a batting champion. And Folk is trying to finish this off. Miller just takes it and slashes it to left field.
Number 33, Jason Varitek.
So now Varitek, the regular Boston catcher, to pinch hit for Gabe KAPLER with 2 down here in the 9th inning. The hit by Miller, the first Boston base runner since Ramirez led off the 6th inning with a single. Between those two hits, 11 consecutive Red Sox were retired. So here's Varitek. He hit a home run last night. And a changeup floats high and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Moving up in the play there was Bill Miller, uncontested. Red Sox taking the base that Oakland was giving them.
Yeah. And most people say, well, why did he do that? Well, you stay out of a force out. I mean, you never give up trying to, extend the ball game if you're the Boston Red Sox. And if he moves up to second, they can't force out on a ground ball in the hole someplace. They'd have to go to first base.
A little edge that might give them an extra out. 1 ball, no strikes to Varitek. And a pop foul back out of play into the upper deck. Trot Nixon has come out on deck now. So if Varitek can keep it going, Trot Nixon apparently would come up. There's Trot, powerful left-handed hitter. Jason Varitek had an outstanding year. Oh, the changeup. A ball and a strike. A ball and 2 strikes now. One strike left to the Red Sox. And a high pop-up. Tejada. And Oakland has gone ahead 2-0 in this division series. 1 victory away from eliminating the Red Sox.
Well, against the Yankees, they're up 2-0 coming home. Now they're going to Boston. I mean, everything's in their favor, but I don't think you're going to see them celebrate too quickly. Boston is very difficult to beat in Boston.
And they have their 17-game winner, Derek Lowe, who will be ready to go on Saturday night against Ted Lilly. And if they can win that one,
who knows?
Then you move on to Game 4, and the Heat can shift right back on the Athletics. But for right now, Oakland has taken 2 in a row for the Red Sox, and it really makes that come-from-behind victory hurt that much more for the Red Sox. A game that they led in the 9th inning. For Joe Morgan and Dave Ryan, I'm John Miller. Thanks for tuning in. Final score again, 5-1. The Athletics have beaten the Red Sox in Oakland. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. From Oakland, a pleasant good afternoon.